Hi, I'm Bob Wilson. I'm a singer-songwriter in San Antonio, Texas. Been writing songs since 1968. 3,500 original songs, all kinds. Stories, all kinds of stuff. I'm retired now. I'm 69 years old. I'll be 70 in October. You know, I'm very inquisitive and I'm generous. Give my information. Something I'm interested in history. I do kind of history. Some of the videos, educational videos I do are easy. Some take a lot of research. Now this one here, I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I live 5 miles from where I was born, and next to near the Alamo, and the 5 miles from where my dies. I don't go very far. But I got a computer, and I'm doing pretty good for my age. Okay, this one's called "Secrets of the Very Dangerous Alaskan Triangle." We all know there's 3 triangles around the United States, from what I understand. There is the Bermuda Triangle. There's the Great Lakes Triangle, which I'm going to do an educational video one of these days on it. And the Alaskan Triangle. I knew nothing about the Alaskan Triangle. I saw a documentary on it a couple months ago, and I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So I watched 2 documentaries. Okay, let's get to the Alaska is twice the size of Texas. Okay, United States bought the Alaska from the Russians in 1867 for $7.2 million. Of course, they discovered gold around 1900, around there somewhere, the big gold rush, Alaskan gold rush, we all know that. But Alaska is 100 times more dangerous than the Bermuda Triangle. It amazes me that people don't talk about it. Since 1988, over 16,000 people have disappeared without a trace. Airplanes disappear, or ships disappear without a trace, or is wrecked so badly. In the 1970s, the Russians, it's the Cold War. The Russians were enlisting psychic spies. That with the power of their mind, which I believe in, the good psychics, not baloney people or media. I believe in the real stuff. They do their psychic powers to find out what kind of weapons we have and all kinds of things. So we hired our own American psychic spies. And this one man, I don't know his name, he was a police officer, real highly decorated police officer, but he also had this talent for psychic stuff. So he worked with the CIA and the FBI and the Army and everybody, Air Force, and he was supposed to draw out things for the Russian missile things and all that stuff, which was very, very accurate. But his mind wandered, and it kept going back to Mount Hayes. Mount Hayes is in the middle. The Alaskan Triangle, it's different than the Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda Triangle is mostly over water. The Alaskan Triangle's over, this is Alaska, and it's almost all of Alaska and a little bit of Canada. The Alaskan Triangle. Mount Hayes is in the middle. It's very rugged area. There's an Air Force base 38 miles away. This psychic spy for the United States, he kept going back there, and he wrote details that the Air Force and the aliens, UFOs, were working together inside this base, and it could be one of the reasons it's in the middle of the Alaskan Triangle. Maybe one of the reasons why 16,000 people have disappeared. He passed. He was killed. He was killed mysteriously. The spy. This other lady, years later, did the same thing. She didn't pass away, but she identified this mountain. She'd never been to Alaska in her life. If you watch the real psychics, real mediums that are real, not the baloney people, it'll amaze you. Some police departments work with psychic people, and they show where the body's at and who did it and everything. It's amazing. And she showed the place to land on the glacier and everything, never being there. Okay, one of the biggest disappearance was 1950. There was a Douglas Air Force plane. It left somewhere in Alaska and was going to the United States. Had 44 passengers on it, and it disappeared. And the Air Force never said nothing, but it'd be something very thing. But they launched. They were having an Air Force. I believe we have. Don't quote me on this stuff. Remember, I have to do research on all this stuff. It's a lot of work. Try it sometime, kids. And I believe Canada and the United States were doing war games. You know, to be prepared because Russia was so close. Russia's only 38 miles or something from Alaska. So when this Douglas plane with 44 Air Force and civilian people passed away. They disappeared. They stopped the war games and they took hundreds of planes. There was something about this plane that was very important, and they don't ever want to say that. They did like a 400,000 mile search or something. They searched and didn't find a trace. They think it went into a porthole. A porthole is something about space and time, and you go into another dimension. They never found anything, but weeks later, they were hearing a distress. This is a true story. Distress signal, like from a plane. They could hear people talking, but not in one particular place. On the mountains, all the area. So they did the search again. This is weeks later. Did the search again, and they couldn't pinpoint where the distress thing came from. They think the plane and its people are in another dimension, whether they believe it or not. And for weeks, they were hearing this sound, and they went all over the mountains. They couldn't find nothing, and eventually it faded and faded away. Okay, I'm trying to get this correct here. In 1972, there was another important one. The House representative, one of the House representative man and a representative also were in a plane that disappeared without a trace. That's okay. UFOs. Alaska has some of the most UFO sightings of any state in the United States. In 1986, there was a Japanese airliner leaving from Alaska, going to, I believe, Tokyo, Japan, and this is this airplane. You know, this guy's 30 years experience. First, there was 2 UFOs, and then it was a UFO. This is the plane, and the UFO was that. This is a jumbo jet. The UFO was this much bigger than the thing, and they could actually feel the heat from the engines of it. And they were trying to maneuver to get away from it and everything, and it followed them a long, long way. They picked it up a radar and everything, and finally it went away. There was no incident on that, no problems on that one. There was a man. He was working on a pipeline or something, 200 miles from Anchorage, and he saw about him and his crew. Not only him, about 100 UFOs. But I mean, they were flying. I've seen 50. I manage a ranch near Rock Springs, Texas, and I saw one night 50 to 100 UFOs. But these UFOs, white lights, were in line. They were above the clouds, and they were just like a formation, quiet. He saw about 100, but they were also going and turning around and hitting each other and splitting apart. I mean, stuff like it's amazing. And in 1950, they clocked a UFO. Remember, in 1950, nothing went this fast. They clocked a UFO at 1,800 miles an hour. Yep, in 1950. Oh, I only do one video on this, so I try to get as much information as I can. There was some hikers. I believe it was in the same area where the Douglas disappeared, and they saw a UFO on the ground. When they started getting close, it took off. But they found dead animals all around it. This is in Alaska. This is like near Fairbanks. This is a couple of 100 miles from the ocean. They found a killer whale dead. Elk. There's not even elks in Alaska. And they're all have been mutilated. All kinds of animals were around it. That's something strange too. There's vortexes. There's all kind of. Alaska is one of the roughest countries, terrain in the world. and dangerous terrain. Uh, there are all kinds of mysterious animals, like Bigfoots that can tear you apart. All kinds of things. It amazes me that I never, because I see some shows on Alaska, they never mention, and you watch the shows on Alaska, uh, Last Frontier and all that stuff, they never mention all this stuff. I'm not scaring people. I'm not like the news. I'm retired to watch the news. I can't watch it because it's negative, 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 negative. Because that's how they keep their jobs, is to say ugly, negative things and make it as harsh as possible. I'm not like that. You know, I always wanted, when I first saw my first Alaska thing, I wanted to go over there, man. But, you know, I'm from San Antonio. I don't go over there, those places like that. I'm not trying to scare anybody. Alaska's part of the United States. I think all Americans should know about the dangers, whether they have people living over there, whether they're going to live over there, or what. And I'm really shocked that with the news, the news picks one subject and talks about it all day long. If you watch, I'm not going to mention which news. If you watch the news for 4 hours, they'll mention something good in 5 minutes. The rest of it's negative, 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 negative. Okay, let's see here. I don't want to forget anything. I guess that's about it. To recap, Alaska is a very dangerous place. I believe in psychic detectives, the good ones and the mediums. It's amazing what some of the things we can do. If you don't believe in UFOs, I mean that's your own thing, but God made them too. There's a UFO base in Duluth, something like that, between I think Arizona and New Mexico. That little four corners. There's a secret base there. I've never done one on that either. With ETs and the Air Force work together side by side. It's just like this Mount Hayes. They say they do also. And there's just so many mysterious things in the world. And if you're planning on visit Alaska or you own people in Alaska, I'm not trying to scare you, you know. But you know, it's just you can go on the internet, and they have so much information about this on the internet. I try to pick I don't want to be sued or anything from anybody, so I try to pick subjects. I don't mention people's names. There's lots of things in history that are amazing that people don't know about, and I just do research and do that. Well, this is Bob Wilson Nation. Peace out.